It's well known that Call of Duty is designed more towards casual gamers. The combat mechanics are smooth, the creative class system is simple, and it's a game you can sit down and play without any number crunching. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, it does create a problem for non-casual gamers, for those who take their gaming much more seriously. Black Ops 4's specialists are just another step towards that designed for casual gamers goal. These specialists provide unique and powerful abilities that can turn the tide of a firefight, end a veteran player's kill streak, or even impact the outcome of the entire match. Considering that was the goal of adding them in, Treyarch did a great job, from a certain point of view. The ability for a new or casual player to be able to defeat a more experienced player or get the final kill that wins the match makes the game attractive for those kinds of players. However, it can make more experienced players furious. Now, I'm not saying the specialists are unbalanced. The fact that everyone has access to them prevents them from being unbalanced. If everyone is overpowered, then no one is. The problem is that the specialists make it too easy to get a kill. With the exception of a select few, using a specialist ability almost guarantees the user of that ability a kill and the victim an end to their hard-earned kill streak. Take Ajax's 9-bang grenade as an example. If you get hit with it, there are only two possible ways to make it out alive. 1, if your team kills the offender before he kills you. Or 2, if he just lets you live. There's no fighting back against its effects, and more importantly, there aren't enough counters to it. Sure, you can run the Tactical Mask perk, but that's it. Having only one counter to such a powerful ability forces you to either run that one perk, which means stagnant and limited builds, or accept that your kill streak will end when a 9-bang is thrown your way. Battery's Cluster Grenade and War Machine abilities have much of the same problem. They are both extremely powerful with limited effective counters. Again, you can run the Flak Jacket perk, but that one perk also creates some creatively limited builds, and those weapons are still an insta-kill if the explosive strikes a Flak Jacket wearer directly. The trophy system is also an option, albeit not a great one. Using the trophy system forces you to not only give up your powerful specialist ability, but also to consume an extra creative class point. Furthermore, it has to be deployed before the grenade is even thrown or shot, making it a preventative measure and not a reactionary tool. That, in turn, limits its effectiveness. Without going into too much detail, here are a few other specialist abilities that just hand out kills to the user of that ability. Firebreak's Reactor Core and Purifier, Ajax's Ballistic Shield, Ruin's Grav Slam, Seraph's Annihilator Revolver. This one isn't too bad because the player is still forced to aim, but I put it on here because it is a one-shot kill no matter what part of the enemy it hits, making it extremely forgiving. Nomad's Canine Unit, and Prophet's Tempest Sniper Rifle. That's not to say that all of the specialist abilities just hand out kills to whoever is using them. There are a few that I personally think work well within the game because they either don't kill / leave enemies so vulnerable that they can't fight back, or because they have solid counters. Those specialist abilities are Torque's Barricade and Razor Wire, Ruin's Grapple Gun, Seraph's Tac Deploy, Crash's Assault Pack and Tac 5, Recon's Sensor Dart and Vision Pulse, Nomad's Mesh Mine, and Prophet's Seeker Shock Mine. Like I said earlier, none of these abilities are technically unbalanced since everyone has access to them, but I would definitely say that they hurt the flow of the game. Yes, score streak rewards are extremely powerful too, but there's a fundamental difference between score streaks and specialist abilities. Score streaks have to be earned. And that's it. That's basically the problem with specialist abilities. They're so strong with so few effective counters that they just hand users of them kills without the ability having to be earned. If you cleared a domination point, let's say getting 3 kills in the process, with a Grav Slam that you got from a score streak, I would say, congratulations, you just earned those 3 kills because you earned the item that you used to kill them. However, with the way the specialist abilities work now, I would say, those 3 kills were just handed to you because all you had to do is wait a few minutes for the game to give you that powerful ability. Getting the specialist abilities is in no way affected by how well you're doing in the game. That means that you could be doing fairly well, let's say going on a 12 kill streak, and suddenly have it all ended by someone who sat in the back of the map, not moving the entire game until his ability is charged, and then grapple gun across the map and Grav Slam you back to the Stone Age. The player doesn't have to have any skill and doesn't even have to try, but he can absolutely destroy players far better than him simply because he messed around until his ability is charged. I don't want to be the guy on the internet that just screams, "Not fair!" and whines about things I don't like or think are broken within video games. So here are a few ways in which I think these specialist abilities could be changed to fit the game better and not just be kill handouts. I understand what Treyarch is trying to do with these abilities by making the game more casual player friendly, so I would try to keep these suggested changes beneficial to casual gamers as well, just not too friendly like they are now. The first option would be to change all of the specialist abilities to things that don't kill or completely incapacitate other players. That means that these abilities would give the user a slight advantage over his enemies, but he could still be defeated. These types of abilities would assist the user in getting a kill by giving him an edge over his opponent without guaranteeing him that kill, like Torque's ability to drop solid cover wherever he is. Another option would be to make playing the game affect how quickly your abilities charge. If Treyarch took all of the charge times and doubled them, or something close to that effect, and then made acquiring score by either playing the objective or getting kills reduce that charge time by, let's say, 1/4 of a second for every 10 score, then that would reward people who did well within the game without completely denying the abilities to those who weren't very good. They'd still get the abilities, just much less often. Treyarch could also turn the specialist abilities into a modified form of the support streaks. When you select a specialist, you would get access to their ability, but you have to earn it by obtaining score, either through playing the objective or getting kills. The difference between this and a score streak, though, is that the accrued score would carry over between deaths. Another option would be to create a few different counters to each ability. If there were 2 or 3 counters to any given specialist ability, then a handout kills problem would be minimal. There would be enough optional counters that a player could have a counter to the ability without being tied down to one single perk. Instead, they could have a different perk that is also a counter, but maybe it counters the ability in a different way, or give the player an option to take a piece of equipment that counters certain abilities. With the addition of a need for more counters, Treyarch would have a reason to bring back the pro version of perks. Working to acquire them is fun and rewards players who work at it. Also, get rid of the ridiculous mechanic that consumes a creative class point when you swap out a specialist ability for a standard piece of equipment. I considered saying that tweaking each ability's statistics like damage, radius, and charge time to make them less powerful would be a fix, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that this wouldn't work either. To do that, Treyarch would either need to nerf all of the abilities so much that they'd be useless, or they'd only nerf them slightly to keep them from being useless, and then the problem would still exist. And a final and easy fix for the handout kills problem with the specialist abilities would be to simply add a playlist that banned those abilities. I've heard a lot of people requesting this, and it's probably the only one of my suggested changes that Treyarch would likely make within this game. As a final note, there's one massively beneficial thing that came out of having these specialist abilities. No more explosive spamming. Sure, it still happens with battery, but it's limited. Still, I think that the problem could be solved in future games by making the equipment have a charge time like it does in Black Ops 4 if you select to have a traditional grenade. That means that dying doesn't reward you with another grenade, you still have to wait for it to charge. Those are some of the suggestions I have for ways to better balance the specialist abilities between veteran and casual gamers. It simply limits the experience when a game plays too far to one side. I'm looking at you, Skyrim. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.
Building barricade.